stands out in your childhood memories that you would say made a strong impression on you?
Well, I think back to when I moved, when I was 6 years old, to a new neighborhood and went out to check out the neighborhood. My sisters were in school and my mother had my new baby sister to take care of, so I was on my own. And I went walking down the road and met two kids about my age, and I went over and talked to them, I guess, and see what they were doing. And in a few minutes, they looked at each other and picked up their things and started walking down the road. Mm-hmm. And I went with them, and they came to a house, went inside, closed the door, and looked out at me.
Can you tell us what steered you to this career?
Well, I think of a couple of small things, but might have had some effect. As my sister, I had three sisters, and one of them was just a year older than me. And on a Sunday afternoon, we'd sit on the floor and draw, mm-hmm. and color and draw, and then we'd show our parents and ask them to pick who did the best. And I don't remember them paying any favorites, but it did give me practice drawing. And then when my parents were divorced, when I was about 11, 12, I think, my sister and I had to live with relatives for a while. And I did a lot of drawing, I remember, to help me get through that. And also something beneficial was I had a younger cousin there, and I used to make up stories, bedtime stories.
Oh, really?
And it was kind of hard, but she liked them and asked for them, so I'm sure that kind of gave me some practice. The big memory is my father was something of an artist before I was born. And he did drawings or portraits or sketches of movie stars outside the theaters in Worcester. And after I was born, he gave it up. I'm not sure if he didn't make, I think they didn't make enough money, mm-hmm. But he became an electrician. And he never did any kind of drawing after that. And he didn't encourage me. If I did show him any drawings, he would just kind of glance at them, hand them back.
Do you think that had an effect on propelling your artistry more, or do you think it had the adverse effect?
For some reason it didn't discourage me. Maybe I thought if I keep trying, he will get impressed. Maybe, I don't know. But, right. And then after the divorce, he stayed out west, mm-hmm. and we moved back here. And when I graduated from high school, I decided to go to an art school in Boston. Mm-hmm. And I sent him a letter telling him, and he sent one back and said, "Don't go.
Oh, jeez.
You're not good enough," he said. And he said, "Only the best make it." Years later, we had art shows together. We were separated from my family for a few years. Mm-hmm. And when he came back into my life, he started doing that work again. And we had 2 art shows together.
How did you become interested in Falun Dafa cultivation?
Well, I'd always been interested in alternative healing. And my mother was always sick, it seemed like, as I was growing up. So it seemed like the medical field didn't quite mm-hmm. do it, Mm-hmm. And so I did yoga for a long, long time. I was still doing it when I heard about Falun Dafa. And I heard online about the healing that people experienced. But then when I started studying online, reading online, and then I contacted somebody, and another practitioner, and she invited me to join the group in Worcester at the park and do the exercises. And then we went to somebody's house and read the books together.
So after you started to practice, was there anything that stood out?
Well, I like the idea of it, the spiritual connection that mm-hmm. yoga sort of brings into it, but not. It's just listen better to your inner guidance, maybe. But Falun Dafa goes beyond that, and working with the relationships and problems in a new way.
When you come across difficult or trying situations in your life, how would you say you handle them now that you're a practitioner?
I start looking within. And if I'm in a conflict with someone, I start to look for how I contributed, what my problems are, or and instead of if I'm critical of that person, then they're reflecting my problems back to me. And I find sometimes things change right away, and sometimes they don't. They need some more work. So.
Would you have any words of wisdom for young and aspiring artists who might be watching the interview today?
Well, I can tell about an experience I had when I went to UMass when I was in my late 30s, and ended up getting my Bachelor of Fine Arts at age 40. But I had to take a course, a required course called Combined Painting, where you put paint and all kinds of materials together, and then you would bring them to class the next morning and put them around, and the professor would criticize them or critique them in front of the class. So I did something, I drew a sketch of myself sitting on the floor doing, putting all this together. And then I took things out of my purse and put them with it, like grocery lists and whatever I found.
So random objects.
Added some paint, and I brought it to class the next day, and it was criticized. He didn't like it. He says that's not any better than a first-year design student could do. And so I went to the library and to see if they had any books on combined painting, and they did. And I looked through it and go home and got out the cardboard and the paint and all kinds of things and put together a painting. And when I brought it in, he said, he praised it. He says, "This is a breakthrough for you." And so I started doing a few of them on my own afterwards, and until my husband, who was always very encouraging, questioned what I was doing, putting all this stuff together. And I said, he's right, no more junk paintings. So from that, I would say, I learned is to follow your own voice. It's okay to experiment with different styles, but if it's not where your abilities and desires are, then do what you really want to do.
Well, thank you for your time today. It's great to speak with you, and look forward to continuing the conversation.
All right, thank you.
All right.